Hi everyone, Astrid Mueller here. I have another exciting interview about to happen for you where I will speak with a super cool colleague and entrepreneur, coach, friend, two professionals who are really looking to make things happen but are not feeling that great right now. And I'll share more details in a minute. I'm bringing her on camera. And more, it's going to be a super exciting interview where you get lots of wisdom. Hi, Lyn. I'm so excited to
Hey
have
everyone!
you. Hi, everyone. And you are calling in from Panama, and that's like extra cool. So we are talking from Alaska right now to Panama. And
That is
yeah, that's a so cool. Before I officially introduce Lyn to all of you, I'm going to share just a few snippet highlights of what's going to go down here. And Lyn is sharing a little bit to her groups and stuff, but we're going to have a really powerful conversation all around when you have inner limitations that tell you you're not enough and you are already successful, but something is telling you something just doesn't feel right inside. And Lyn has some super powerful story and really amazing tools that she uses as a coach to help professionals transform this into freedom and ease and feeling great about yourself and really creating the difference that you want while feeling good. So if you also know somebody who can use more freedom and ease in their life and in their heart while they are successful, please share it with them because this is like, yeah, this is a message that needs to get out there. It's also a topic that I'm super passionate about.
yeah.
And I'm super grateful that we're connected because we're kind of like, yeah, we have parallel paths in our own kind of kaleidoscope way, how we do things, right? Also super creative. What you do, what I do. So we're both going to have a conversation around that topic. And I know some awesome wisdom nuggets are going to pop out, some cool stories. Everything will be feel good. And I feel especially if you're stressed out right now, this could be a perfect time to just hit stop and pause and just tune in and get ready for some healing, feel good inspirations so you can also have an amazing life and have the success that you crave. Yeah.
And that's why we're here on this planet, is to have an amazing
Yes.
life.
Yes. 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 So I want to officially start the interview now. I'm going to hit my timer here because this will also go on my podcast afterwards. And we will also go live here on Kodiak Island in. I'm using an online timer and it's giving me funny messages. I don't even know how it works. It can't be that hard. Give me a second here, like 28 minutes, and then we're good. 30 minutes. Here we go. It's running. Awesome. So I'm officially going to introduce Lyn at this time. So Lyn Bishop works with successful women who secretly feel they're not enough, and she helps them embody the confidence to live the vibrant life that they crave. And Lyn, I'm so excited to know you because you already live this amazing life. You live in Panama and you do what you love. All you coach people, empowerment. Like you have this fulfilling career of your own business, and oh gosh, all these amazing things happening with retreats and whatnot. So, can you tell our listeners just a bit more about your life right now? What do you do and for whom? Like fill in the blanks and color them out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you and welcome everyone. Gosh, it's so great to be here on this play date with my good friend Astrid. This is just so much fun. So, you guys, here's the thing. I was living that really stressed out life in Silicon Valley for over 25 years. And I moved myself to Panama. I built the house that you see behind me, and I am the steward of an amazing organic farm. And in addition to this, I coach successful women who secretly fear that they're not enough. And this is really what my passion is, because I was one of those women in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to
Yeah.
say, testament basically, that anyone that has the mojo, the motivation, and really wants to shift and change their life in any direction they want to, you can do it. You can do it. If I can do it,
Yes.
honestly, you guys can do it too.
Yeah, I love it. I love your story is so powerful. Like you literally moved to another country and you made it happen. I did that too. I followed my heart from Switzerland to Alaska and like my life transformed too. And it seemed impossible for so many years. It was a long odyssey, but anything is possible. We're both role modeling this here for you. So I'm so glad that you're watching or listening. Yeah, so let's dive in more. So in your work, like, can you share a little bit more about the coaching that you do, just so people can get a sense, like you work long distance and you work with private clients, so how does this play out?
Great question. Yeah, so I have a signature system called Love Yourself Now. That's an acronym for my name, Lyn, Lyn. And I work with clients both in group settings and one-on-one through online settings. We also get together once a year for a retreat and get to have some personal FaceTime. But really, it's an opportunity for us just to use technology to form bonds of friendship and coaching and really motivating my clients to step into taking the responsibility for their best life. Because honestly, at the end
Nice.
of the day, that's your responsibility, your best life.
Yes.
And we
Yeah.
just like pretend that, it's just going to show up for us. We've got to work it. We've got to show up
Yeah.
for it. And that's what I help my clients do most, is show up
I
for
love it.
loving themselves in a way that allows them to
Mm.
embody the confidence and self-worth and really just
Mm-hmm.
take on that mojo, really, of
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
and living the life that they crave.
Yeah, I heard you say something super powerful that kind of like goes into your story. I feel it's like the premise of what do we define as our own success? Was that what comes up for you when I say that? Was that like a turning point for you where you realized like, wait, that is not success for me anymore to just hustle, or what comes up for you when I say that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that in my career in Silicon Valley, I learned so much about so many things, and I have no regrets about that experience. But at the end of the day, that experience was for somebody else, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
creating a dream of somebody else's. And sure, it was part of my dream for a while too. I worked for Adobe Systems. I worked with Photoshop and Illustrator. I was around amazing designers and really smart engineers, and it was high times, really. But at the end of the day, it kind of came down to, geez, I need to express myself. And that really was in the
Mm-hmm.
form of art. I'm a
Mm.
practicing successful artist before I came to Panama, and that's the transition that I made, was really from corporate life into my own design firm. And now it is into this new life that I'm living here in Panama, a much more sustainable life that I'm crafting as if it is my most important work of art.
Ooh, I like that. Whoa, you're owning that. And that is such a powerful inspiration. Crafting your life as if it's your own work of art. Yeah, that is so great. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So that brings me, I'm curious more to hear a bit more about your story, because your story is super fascinating. Not only did you have like the gumption, what's the word? It's not the right translation from Swiss German to English. I wanted to say gumption, that's the wrong word. The guts to drop everything and to move to a new country, but you also you have this fascinating career of like working in Silicon Valley. So can you say like how did you get to where you are today? Because I know that's like that can seem really daunting. It's like, oh my gosh, like is it even possible to drop everything? And I mean, you had family, I'm sure, and all kinds of commitments and stuff. Like, how did you get to where you're at today? What comes to you?
Well, I'm going to be really honest and transparent with our viewers, and it was through a lot of hardship, actually. I was going through a really tough divorce, and I needed to reinvent myself. And so I didn't have any grand master plan to move to Panama. I'll be really honest with people. But I am the type of person, this has been my personality all of my life. I know that my wings are on my back, and if I jump off a cliff, they're going to open. And I mean, I say that in all honesty. And so I was really struggling after this divorce. It was my best friend, and thankfully we are still very good friends, so it's not a tragic ending. But I just knew that I needed to change my life, and I picked myself up and actually moved to Costa Rica first. And I was working on turtle conservation. And while I was there, I was at the border between Costa Rica and Panama. And so Panama was actually closer when it came to like a major city. So I would commute from this serious deep jungle on the Osa Peninsula in Costa Rica, and I'd come to Panama every 2 weeks to learn Spanish. And then I'd go back to Costa Rica. And at the end of the day, I just knew that I really resonated with Panama a little bit more. And so I just moved here. Literally, I lived in a hostel for 2 years before I bought the property. And, I just went with the flow of life.
I love it. I love it. I love how you're addressing such important points for listeners, because I can also relate to that. I used to think, and that's what I heard you say too, like, I didn't know. And it almost sounds like you're apologizing, like you don't have to apologize, because you did embrace your adventure and not knowing. And that's like one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves, to embrace like where our journey leads us and just keep following our heart, right? And that you didn't have to know all the steps, and you just choose the next step, right? And then and that led you to a better place, because you kept choosing a step that felt good.
And I just want to say, my analogy to that is, I have been looking at my life as if it is a series of stepping stones. And so say that, I just really want to say that, because it's like, and when you're on a path with stepping stones, sometimes there's multiple stones that you can step on. And you just make a choice in the moment, and that's the new direction, right?
Yeah, I love it. And I keep hearing too that that there is no wrong choice. Like, all the choices lead us like somewhere where we learn something, right? Like sometimes what comes up for you from your coaching experience when you hear that? People think, oh my gosh, I don't know which one to choose.
Yeah. No, I think what I try to do with my clients is get them out of their heads, because I tend to overthink things. And so really what I'm trying to do is to get you to work from your heart space, because that's where your authentic self lives. You're up in your thinking brain and try to plan everything exactly, and things can still get out of whack or go wrong. So it's really about just living through your heart, and that puts you on that authentic track, and you don't even know how that's going to unfold sometimes. And when you allow that organic unfolding, you are like, that's when the magic happens.
Yep. I love it. And I love that you kind of outline that there are like two paths if we want to choose. Like, oh, you can take the rational brain and trying to figure it out and like go that route and follow that left brain, or you choose the heart space, which I also associate with the right brain, right? And like we never have a guarantee, right? Isn't it funny, because we have the illusion like, oh, I have safety if I trust my left brain, right? Like, but there's like none of it is safe, but the heart space leads you to happy. That just like came to me. That's funny.
Well, it's the truth, right? Well, and I don't know if you've ever had the experience traveling. Sometimes we get in our head and we plan every little detail of a trip that we're going to take. But when we just don't do that, and we allow for those moments of uncertainty to be within that trip, that's when you get invited to somebody's house, a local person's house.
Yes.
Or you know, that's when the magic opens. And so I love it when I jump off of a cliff, because I don't know what's going to happen, and I know that I'm going to take care of myself and my wings are going to open. I'm going to land safely. So, I mean, we have to take safe risks, right? I'm not saying take unsafe risks, but yeah, allow that freedom of the adventure to unfold. And life is an adventure.
Yes, I love that you embrace that and that you role model it and live it. And I kind of lean into the same space. I actually have a funny short story about when you said like, oh, if you travel, the best traveling is if not everything is planned out. And hi everyone who's listening and watching. We're seeing some people pop on.
Yay.
Feel free to let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. So I actually had a travel experience many years ago where I was traveling with a friend from Switzerland, and she had this constraining situation where her mother was really concerned for her, and she had to check in with her mother every step of the way, like every day, call her. And we planned the whole trip, like everything was literally planned out, like all the hotels were pre-booked for our 2 or 3 week trip or whatever. And what happened was like, yes, we had the safety of knowing where we'd sleep all night, but like every night, but oh my gosh, it felt like a straitjacket. It felt like a straitjacket. And like worse for me, it was afterward that I found all these places along the road where I would have loved to go and I wasn't able to because we didn't have time. So I had no freedom to follow that. And I came back and I actually had the crazy experience where a close friend of mine traveled to the same location, one of the locations, and she saw this glorious waterfall that she told me about, and she's like, did you see that? It was in this national park. I didn't see it because I didn't have time to actually walk like half an hour. It was ridiculous. So that was a huge learning experience for me to actually create that freedom, allow ourselves to follow our heart. Yeah, I had to share that. I know the spotlight is on you, but let's give it back to you.
That's so perfect, right? That's perfect. Because that's what happens when we overthink things, or we just don't allow ourselves to live in that place of freedom. Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to Fritz and to James and also Angela. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for joining.
Yes, hi everyone. We're excited to have you all. So I want to put more spotlight on your amazing work because you're also an amazing artist. I actually saw you walk into a hotel lobby with a huge piece of art once, and like it's part of your journey and it's part of your coaching. Is also like it has something to do with your retreats where you work with nature and art. Can you share a bit more of like how you help people to connect with their heart space?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's kind of a big question, but well, I've developed a 12-week process. So it's a signature system. And really, I believe that we need to start with the foundation. So we do some really grounding foundational work that's, you know, starting with opening your heart. How do you even get in to your heart space? People go, you know, I don't even know how to get into my heart space. So that's where we start. And then just slowly, week by week, we add in different things. You know, a lot of people don't really understand boundaries. And that's a really big part of owning your worth and having your own sense of self-love and confidence is knowing when you can say no comfortably. That's a really hard thing for people to do. So, and I love using art and I love using nature in my processes. I work with something called body mapping, which is where we actually trace our body and tell a new story through how we basically paint it or color it or design into it. And that is something that's really deep and really fun and something I absolutely love. I also love taking people into nature and building things like earth mandalas. On my page recently, I had the creation of a flower mandala here on the farm where I harvested all of the, really sacred plants. And it was a very special experience for me. It was like my coaching of me, because what I was doing was
Nice.
harvesting and paying tribute and gratitude to my harvest by creating this piece of art. So I love doing things with my
Wow.
clients as well.
That's amazing. And okay, here's this cool thing. So you and I, we really know like the value of using art to access your heart space and to really hear what makes you feel good, to get your best wisdom, your easy steps forward, to learn about yourself, what you need, what makes you happy. Like I also use that in my own coaching like, all the time. It's amazing. But what would you tell to your younger self? Like all those people who are still stuck in that space of like a successful career where they're like working hard, because I know we have so many voices, right? Like I was in that space too. It's like I have to do all these things, I have like no time left in the day, I have all these long checklists, and like I can't possibly squeeze in another piece. What would you tell your younger self in that space, as to why do they need to start doing something about that, and why does your work help them get out of there? Yeah, what do you say?
Well, you know what? The honest answer is I would tell myself to invest in my own healing journey much sooner. And
Mm-hmm.
I, for such a long time, I was trying to find all like the free solutions and like cobble it together
Yeah.
myself. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get anywhere. And it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
until I decided that I was worth it, that I
Oh my gosh,
invest
that's
in
super
myself.
powerful.
And that's when I
Yeah.
started to put time, money, and energy into
Mm-hmm.
my own development. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
everything started to accelerate. And so that's what I would tell my younger self is two things. One, invest in yourself earlier, and two,
Mm-hmm.
quiet that inner critic as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Right. That is so powerful. And I had a parallel journey as well. Like for a long time, I was like stingy with myself, and I tried to figure out things for free, just looking at, oh yeah, free webinar, blah, blah, blah. I can do this. I can figure it out. And, and I did the same thing. It's like, I didn't put like see myself. It wasn't worth it investing in myself. I didn't even, it's so weird. Like those things, those beliefs that we carry with ourselves of like, yeah, it's worth it, like I don't know, spending money like on clothes or whatever you put worth on, right? But then like investing in your own well-being, um that's, I feel it's like a really powerful question for ourselves, like where do we place value, where do we spend our money, like are we part of that equation or not at all? And if we're not at all, I feel that that could give us like some alarm bells, like wait a minute, like what's happening here, like why am I not putting myself first, right? That should give you like just that question, like what comes up for you when you hear that?
Yeah. Well, and about putting ourselves first and making that investment in ourselves, a lot of times it's a core wound or a hidden fear that keeps us, like,
Mm-hmm.
tries to keep us safe so that we don't
Yeah.
really dive into that, because that's scary stuff, right? There's so much fear around, oh, maybe I have to take more responsibility for myself, or maybe I'm going to have to say no to something, or, like, I mean, we don't even know that we're thinking these things. They're so deep and so
Mm-hmm.
subconscious.
Yeah. And it's like a fear of changing things too. And I know that like especially when we're successful, and I had that too, like we have all this padding also of like security, quote unquote, where we have to let go of certain things to create something new. So yeah, a lot of things. But one thing I found that I want to tell everybody is like it doesn't have to be hard. There's like playful and easy ways of doing things. So
Yeah.
it's not like you have to get ready and like I want to ask you about your retreats. Let's talk about that. Like how do you make this light for people? Even if there's like fears come up, yes, but like there's a lot of times fears are illusion, right? Like we just need to embrace the whole thing. So how do you make the things fun with art and your amazing retreats? Share something about that.
Awesome. Well, really, it's a lot has to do with the group of people that we're with. And we do
Mm-hmm.
go deep and we do get serious, but we lighten it
Mm-hmm.
up too. Like we'll have a dance party, right? just
Nice.
to like shake it off, or
Mm-hmm.
making sure that we have things like spa treatments and a pool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
definitely like pool time, it's like that's how you can really unwind. And also, creating a location, finding a location that is in nature, because that's when we're
Mm-hmm.
getting that real grounded energy from Mama Earth. And so this retreat that I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing in January is in the center of one of the largest dormant volcanoes in the world. I'm so excited.
Woo!
Yeah, like this energy is going to be
Whoa!
incredible. I can't wait. I'm so stoked.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. Can you share an essence of what's going to happen at that retreat?
Absolutely. So we're going to get together on Friday and introduce ourselves, have opening circle. We are going to have a cacao ceremony with cacao grown on my farm, grown and roasted
Oh,
by me. I'm like, cannot wait to share this. And cacao
hi,
ceremonies
Kate.
are so cool because they open our heart. So that's where we're going to start,
Mm.
is with cacao and opening our heart. And then on Saturday, Saturday's going to be a deep dive into what it is that we really want to create in 2019. And
Mm-hmm.
we're going to look at some of those hidden fears that have kept us from not achieving what we wanted in the past. And that's probably going to be the most
Mm.
serious part of it. And then we're going to move into really identifying those big rocks and, chunks that we really want in our life in 2019. And then on
Nice.
Sunday, we are going to develop an actual action plan. So we're
Oh.
map it out so that we
Mm-hmm.
have an idea of what it's going to take to get there. Because you know what happens
Mm.
at it comes around to this time of year, September, October, and we look at what we wanted to accomplish in January and we're like, there's only a couple of months left. And so what I want to do is show people that if you just put a little love and effort into managing your daily life with the things that are most
Mm.
important with you, by the end of the year you are going to be like on top of it, and it's going to feel so incredibly great. And that's what I want to create.
That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. It sounds like you're creating new habits for people too to carry with them of loving themselves first and like incorporating that into their lives. Is that right? Like you're giving them that like new perspective. Yeah,
Because
beautiful.
that's the
That's awesome.
foundation. If we're not
Mhm.
in touch with ourselves, if we're not in love with ourselves, then we
Mhm.
don't feel that we're worth it. Why should I invest
Yeah.
in myself? If I don't
Nice.
even love myself, why would I even want to invest in myself?
That is a total like foundational piece. I love that you brought that up. So your retreat pretty much helps people open their hearts so they start loving themselves. And then they can shift everything because they're starting to put themselves first and actually follow what their heart really craves. That's
Yes. I
beautiful.
mean, it's not
Yeah.
rocket science. It's just that we don't do it.
I
And
love
we
it.
don't know
And
the
I love,
tools. A lot of
yeah,
times we don't really know the tools to put it all together.
yeah,
And also the
yeah.
support system. I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
mastermind right now. I've got 5 powerful women that I'm being held accountable to. And that is
Mm-hmm.
also something that is just really amplifying my whole life right now, because I'm trying
Yeah,
to, even though it's on me and my responsibility to take care of myself, I've got other people who love me and want me to succeed. So
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
idea of the
totally.
retreat, is actually to set up that whole support system for going forward new
Nice.
year. Yeah.
That is so important. I know that from my own experience too. And that's like part of investing in yourself and creating a real support system and not just like piggybacking with other colleagues who only like do free stuff. Because I've done that for a long time. And then you don't have a real support. You're just trying to get by and figure things out. And yeah, yeah. But yeah, I feel that's not even an issue for your audience. Like they have other issues, they're more like they're already like successful but just putting themselves first. So I feel it's like an easy step to say yes to a retreat. It sounds very yummy and it sounds like if you're stressed out, like totally a gem to consider. I love it. So we're almost at time. We have about 4 minutes left. So let's ask you, like, what we had the question to the younger self, like, what's the best question? I'm just going to give the ball to you. Like, what sort of wisdom do you want to put to the viewers from your treasure chest of coaching? One thing they can do today to feel better if they're fully stressed out and like don't feel they have time to add anything to their life, but they really crave to feel better. What would you give them?
Okay, so what I would suggest is that you wake up in the morning, and before you even go out of bed, you do this quick little exercise for 5 minutes. And don't laugh because it's kind of funny, but you know, a lot of people, like I said, don't know how to get into their heart. So imagine a small little mini you living up here in your mind, and you can even imagine what it might look like in your mind. Sometimes I imagine my mind to be like an office, like there's all kinds of little offices in my mind, and I, you know, walk out of the one office that I wake up in, and I walk to the center of my mind, and right there at the center is an elevator. And there's only one button on the elevator. It's a big heart. And so you press the heart, right? And the elevator comes, and the doors open, and like this beautiful glowing pink light just radiates out of the elevator, and you step in, and the elevator doors close. And there's, again, only one button inside the elevator. It's a heart. And you press that heart, and the elevator engages, and you start going down, and you know, you just are traveling through this beautiful pink white light kind of thing down past your throat chakra, and then all of a sudden your elevator stops right at your heart center, and the doors open, and you walk out, and you get to see what does your heart look like in the morning, and then just spend a couple minutes hanging out in your heart, like getting to know what it feels like to be in your heart. So there you go.
Nice. Oh, I love it. That is super beautiful. I love the visual, and I love that. I totally know that's where you get your best wisdom. So I love that inspiration to start the day there. And then you already feel good. And I actually do similar things, not with that beautiful elevator visual, but like there's all these different methods. I love that you
know, Astrid, you are such a playgirl. I would suggest that you replace the elevator with a swirly slide.
Oh. I totally do that. That's fun. I love it. Thank you for that. Very cool. So we're almost at time, but like tell our listeners, like if they want to get in touch with you, where can they best find you online?
Awesome. Well, my email is Lyn at Lyn Bishop, and that's LYN at LYNBISHOP.com, or yeah. Lyn at lynbishop.com. Yeah. And then my free web group is awesome. My free Facebook group. We've got a great community there. It's LYN, Love Yourself Now. You can just look that up on Facebook.
Cool.
You can join us. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was awesome. So we're at the end of our podcast interview. Thank you so much for having been with me, Lyn. Super excited.
So fun.
Yeah. So for Facebook, we are still here for just a moment. And so I know we haven't really engaged with all of you watching right now. And this was partially because this interview is going on my podcast and I didn't want to interrupt the flow too much. But we totally see you. And we're excited that you were able to join. And I'm curious, like, if any of you have any questions right now, like you can put your comments and we could actually address them. Lyn could like answer any question you have, how to get from hustle to flow and feel good as you go.
Yeah. Hey, I want to give a shout out. I see my mom's watching. I just want to give you love, Mom.
Yay.
Michelle
so
Evans
awesome.
joined us as well.
I saw her. Yes. Hi, Michelle. Super cool. I saw a bunch of like known names, like Dave was watching. I know. Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone. So you can also, if you watch this replay, if you have any questions, if you tag us, whoever you have a question for, we can get back to you. And I put in the description, I put a cool webinar that Lyn has coming up. I put the link in there as well. So check that out too, where you can learn more about her. And you see, if you follow her tag, you'll see her website as well. So lots of awesome things. Somebody's asking to be in our video. That's funny. I don't even know if you can have 3 people. I have to play with that sometime. Yeah, but thanks for joining us. Cool. Any last words you wanted to share, Lyn, or any magic wand wish to the universe for yourself, or I don't know.
This was such a fun time. I just love, you know, I really just held this sacred space today as a play date, and that's exactly what it's been. And I just want to say, sparkle on.
Ah, thank you. I love it. I'll take it, and I wish it to the world as well. Thank you so much, Lyn. This is amazing. Greetings to Panama. Enjoy your wonderful farm. And I'm also going out in nature now on Kodiak Island, Alaska. And greetings and love to everyone. Yeah. Mwah! Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.